Welcome to the Up Arrow podcast with William Harris, featuring top business leaders sharing strategies and resources to get to the next level. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey everyone, I'm William Harris. I'm the founder and CEO of Element and the host of the Up Arrow podcast, where I feature the best minds in e-commerce to help you scale from 10 million to 100 million and beyond as you up arrow your business and your personal life. I'm excited about the guest joining me today, Pam Didner. Pam loves helping her clients solve problems. She also loves marketing, digital, and all the latest technologies. She is a B2B marketer, host of the podcast B2B Marketing and More, and the author of 5 books: The Modern AI Marketer in the GPT Era, The Modern AI Marketer Guide to Gen AI Prompts, Effective Sales Enablement, The Modern AI Marketer, and Global Content Marketing. And in case you're wondering, wait, why are we chatting to a B2B marketer? It's because we're going to be digging into generative AI prompt engineering for the modern AI marketer today, and she's got a lot of really good information on this that I'm excited to chat about. Pam, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, you were talking about 5 books. That's just, I was thinking, oh my God, that is so mouthful.
Well, you're the one who wrote all the extra words that go into all of those books. So
I know. What am
I
I thinking? I should just have like AI marketing, got, AI marketing part 1. AI marketing part 2, AI marketing part 3. That's
right.
all I should have done.
Keep it really simple.
Exactly.
I'm excited to get into this. I do want to give a shout out to Nancy Harhut. Nancy is the one who introduced us, everybody.
I love Nancy.
Yes. She was on the podcast as well, so go check out that episode. She's got an amazing book too called Using Behavioral Science in Marketing. Fantastic read. And that's how Pam and I got connected. So thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
We're just about to dig in. I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Element. Element is an award-winning advertising agency optimizing e-commerce campaigns around profit. In fact, we've helped 13 of our customers get acquired, with one that sold for nearly $800 million and one that IPO'd. You can learn more on our website at element.com, which is spelled ELUMYNT.com. That said, on to the good stuff. Generative AI prompt engineering for the modern AI marketer. We were talking about this a little bit before I get into like what's the problem here. We were talking about 3 monitors versus Apple Vision Pro, but you're running 3 monitors typically right now, right?
Yeah. So if I'm actually not traveling and I'm in my office, which is I'm right now, I usually have 3 monitors going on. I have 2 big monitors, 27 inches, and I also have my MacBook Pro, and those are 3. And I also have my the iPad, but most of the time it's just 3 monitors going on all at once. Yes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've got 3 monitors. I've got one here, one here. I've got my MacBook Pro here. I've got the iPad up here, which I'm right now using as the teleprompter, so I can see you clearly and actually look at you here.
Oh, I should have done that. I never used teleprompter. People told me I should use that. I was just never used to it. So I need to look into it.
All right, I'll send you my setup afterwards. What's interesting, I don't know if you saw this, and by the time this launches, it'll hopefully be live for everybody. Right now, it's just developers have access to it. But I have the Apple Vision Pro. I'm a big fan of the Apple Vision Pro. Bought it the day that it came out. And I have a video about how I use it to work at coffee shops. And what's interesting is when I use my Apple Vision Pro, I've got 6 monitors. There's so many different things that you can do with it, but they just released the ultra wide monitor on the Apple Vision Pro. Again, it's only a developer, so I don't have access to it yet, but I've seen the videos, and you've just got this massive curved monitor, basically, that they say it's the equivalent of 3 monitors. And so I'm excited about that for working remote for people like you and me.
Honestly, my husband was like, what do you want for holiday? I was like, I actually have a list for you. Number 1. Just
what's on it?
That.
Yeah.
Just give me that vision set. Okay, I want that.
Yes.
And that's very expensive. That's not cheap.
It
actually, every single Apple product is like cost a fortune.
Okay, but here's the thing. What's the cost of a really good ultra wide monitor, right? Like $1,000 and up. And then this is one that you can take with you at a coffee shop.
Yeah, I know, but I hear you. I get it. I know what you're talking about. I understand. You are totally right.
Yes. Okay. Now, back into the generative AI stuff. The question I want to start off with is, what's the problem with generative AI prompting right now? What are we doing wrong?
Okay, so it depends. There are some people are using it very effectively and they use it every
Sure.
day. And whenever they have a question, they just go to ChatGPT or they go into Gen AI and they get an answer. Okay. But there are some people, some marketers, they have tried it, they don't really have a lot of success. And they also have other sets of people is like, you know what, it's not for me. I don't want to bother. I don't want to give it a shot. Right. So depending on who are listening and you are at the different stages of the AI usage, right? Especially on the Gen AI prompt.
Yep.
And if you are successfully using, the AI and whatever prompts you are doing are giving you great results, yay, good for you. Okay, keep doing what you're doing, but have a point of view, right? Have a point of view on like what AI is telling you is good or bad. If you are using AI prompts but not getting a result, you have to think about it. Why is not doing that? A lot of time it has a lot to do with you are not giving a very specific guidance, or you are not putting things in the context that AI understand. So, and try that. And you also have to be patient, right? A lot of time that when you try first time, the answer is like, I don't know about that. You should try it again. You should paraphrase it. It's kind of like teaching children, right? If you teach your children to do something, if they didn't get it right, you have to say it differently. Right. So what that is. And for people who are not using it, you should definitely give it a try because it's important that you know how to do that.
Yes. Step one, if you're doing it incorrectly, if you're not doing it at all, that's the first thing, right? So you have to do it. You have to start using it. And you started to get into this a little bit. So it's like, but what's the solution? How do we do smart generative AI prompting as, a modern AI marketer?
So the way I use it, I just want to share my point of view and how I use it, and it may apply to you, may not, but just kind of give it a thought. Whatever jobs you are doing right now, it doesn't matter you are email marketer or you are social media marketer or you are even just writing a strategy or you have to create a marketing plan as a strategist, for example. AI can actually provide help in every single role. The thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know what AI can do. AI can do a lot of things. The problem is AI can wear multiple hats depending on what your roles are. That's the things you have to understand. If you are a demand generation manager, you can literally ask AI or ChatGPT, please write me a demand generation plan for this industry and sell this type of product, and my company does blah, 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 blah. My audience are blah, 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 blah. And I need to create 1,000 leads. My budget is blah, 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 blah. And what are some demand generation tactics can I use? You can literally write what I just said, and the AI will, AI didn't make that noise. I did. AI will just basically spill out the stuff. And then you will take a look and see, does this make sense? Doesn't matter what kind of question you ask, AI can give you an answer, one answer. But you are the one need to make a judgment call. Is that a good answer? Or is that something that you can, you need to modify it? So you need to have a point of view.
Yeah, having a point of view is good. Let's say that we go ahead and start doing this. What are the elements of a good prompt that takes it to the next level? Because I feel like even people on my team, sometimes I'm showing them some of the different prompts that I'm using, and they'll sometimes say, I'm not that good at prompting yet. And it's like, so we're working through different things, and there are maybe some things that I've found that work better than others. But what are the things that you found help to take your prompt from just being okay to being, this is an excellent prompt?
Okay, so I wrote a book.
Yes, 5 of them.
This is only 50 pages. Okay, it's a very small book. But there are over 75 prompts for sales and marketing professionals. And the way I write those prompts is kind of like a template, right? And I'm going to read a couple of them so you can get a sense of it. And then you can just open it and you're like, okay, if I really want to, say, create a strategy, what should I do? And if I need to, I want AI to actually help me to find the target customers, or what can I do, right? So this is one prompt I have written and I want to just read it. I'm a marketer for parentheses, business or organization name. So I'm a marketer for your company. And this company is in whatever industry, healthcare or manufacturing. So describe, then our products does blah, 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 describe your products, right? Your organization's product. Our competitors are blah, 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 our competitors. Our current customers' demographics. Now you describe our current customers are kind of like this type of customers, demographics, right? And also describe the details of what is the customer trait, like you understand what the current customer is. So what are some of the marketing strategy that could help us better reach out to our target customers? Can you list this specific number of the target customer for me and tailor for the strategy to reach out to them? So it's kind of like you have to provide a lot of input, right? So I'm not saying like, okay, give me the target customer for this type of company. That's too generic. If you give a generic guidance, guess what? You're going to get generic answer. But if you provide a lot of information, as if you understand your product, your company, right? Your current customers, well, then how can these, my products serve other type of customers? Can you identify who they are? So that's how you need to write. So the way to write actually a good sales and marketing prompts is you actually need to know your business. You need to know your audience well, and you need to know your company well. That's the prerequisite.
You know, it reminds me a lot of working with, let's say, Upwork or something like that, right? Where
True, very good. You have to write a very solid job description, right?
You do. And if you give, let's say, something to somebody who is not a native English speaker in another country on Upwork, and you give them very generic directions, the likelihood that you're going to get the output you want is low, and the fault is on you because you didn't provide. The likelihood is that they could execute very excellently if you know what you want, who you're trying to get. Yeah. And so better communication like that. I think that's a really good call out. And the different functions and features that you had there are important, right? So you're calling out like, here's like who I am. Here's who the customer is. Here's what our products do. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Now ChatGPT can say, oh, I've got an understanding.
Yes. And let me see what I can come up for you.
Yeah. Now, if you didn't get what you wanted out of it, how do you refine that? Let's say it gave you something you're like, this is good, but what are some of the follow-up prompts you would use there?
So there are a lot of ways to actually do rewrite. So again, when the AI provides like an answer to you, obviously it's a very tailored and a very customized answer. You have to kind of read it, and you kind of have to have a good sense where it feels short, where it's not giving you enough information. Does that make sense? So if they give you an answer and you're like, the way they talk about the target customers in the healthcare, it's a little bit shallow. So you can basically, the next kind of like the chain of thought type of prompt, that's how I call it. It's basically, the next thing is like, you know, you can say based on the information you provide previously, they kind of know that. The target customers for healthcare segment, you mentioned this, but can you elaborate a little bit more? And when you say elaborate a little bit more, you have to give them a specific direction. Elaborate in terms of how you want to understand that target customers a little bit more. Give them a very specific direction. And that sometimes can be a challenge. That requires you have a sense of a clarity what you are asking for. And a lot of time we don't have that, especially come down to a second time we ask, you know, additional information. That really requires you to know your product, your business, and also potential customers, what you have in mind. Go ahead.
Well, it's something that Andy Crestodina said on a podcast earlier that I liked, which was something along the lines of, it's AI is an amplifier, right? It's going to take you and level you up. But you still have to know what you need to know. And to your point, it's like if you get an answer that sounds good enough to a layperson, they might take that and run with it. But if you're somebody is an expert in this, you should be able to spot where there are issues and increase that or optimize that or tweak that. Which goes back to even just
Andy. Amen to Andy's.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and then the idea of like these follow-up questions, these are thoughtful follow-up questions. It's not just elaborate. Like you said, it's like having a thoughtful, and this goes back to, I don't even know who said this, but something along the lines of the most powerful person in the room is the one asking questions, right? And sometimes people ask questions just to appear as if they know what they're doing, but they're really asking generic questions like, can you elaborate that? And it's like, that's not a very thoughtful question. That's not really like, what's going on. But if you have a more thoughtful way of approaching that, elaborate like this about these things on this topic, or I disagree with you on this. Can you look at this from this perspective, right? And so I disagree with you on that tactic, but can you look at that again from maybe a behavioral science perspective, right? Whatever that might be, I think is a better way to follow up.
Agree. Well said.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take this a little bit deeper then. What if your prompt gets a little bit too long? There's a limit to a lot of these prompts that you can get into.
There's a token, yes.
How do you handle when you have a lot of information that you're trying to share because you really want to get very deep, but you can't fit it all into one prompt?
So yes, I kind of, there was one time that one of my clients said, I want the AI to read the whole website.
Sure.
Just to read the whole website. They have hundreds of content and identify what are some of the what are the content they should create in the future. That's a huge topic. So we initially, that was kind of like a while back, and the previous generation of the ChatGPT, because it's a public information, their website is public, so it doesn't matter. So we try to actually have the ChatGPT go read like through the website, but unfortunately, it doesn't read the whole thing as far as I can tell, because there are some topics that was missing. And then we decided to try a different way to do it. One is we just use a simple, URL, and then basically ask the ChatGPT to read it and come up with the existing content and the topics and also what the gaps are. Okay. Then the other way we were doing is a little bit different. Is we write a long prompt and to explain that for this specific website, these are who our target audiences are and the type of content we already created. And we write a huge, like a description. And at some point there's a cutoff, it's like there's a character limitation. And so what we did with that is we kind of break down the long prompts into 3 sections. And we feel like that started with something very general and see what they come up with. And then we ask the question based on their answer and see if they can come up with a little bit more elaborate or detailed answers. So we did that. And the answer is actually, the results are mixed. And because we try to do that in many different ways, because when you are asking AI, you can ask them differently. So we try kind of like several different approach of asking them and see what is their recommendations are in terms of the content gap that we need to do. So that is one. Then the other one we did is we actually use kind of like a code and to pull the data actually from like the content management tools in terms of for all the contents they have on their website. We kind of know how many downloads for each content pieces. So we have that information. We also have the target audience information. So we take additional data and also the prompts we have, and then we kind of using the data as additional information to determine what are some of the potential gap that we need to do. Does that make sense? So we tried 3 different approaches. Interesting enough, the answer at the end are actually different.
Sure.
Are slightly different in terms of the content gap that the AI recommend to us. That has a lot to do with because on this specific website, they target multiple personas and multiple customers. And there are gap for each target customers. And they are a little bit different. And we did not do a good job to tell the AI, like, okay, for this specific target customers, what are the gap for the type of content we need to engage with that customer? For these type of customers, what are the content gap? We didn't specify the product early enough. So the outcome that we got are actually a little bit different. And then we have to kind of think it through and read it through and kind of like interpret AI's answers.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I doing this? I'm trying to interpret an artificial intelligence answer. That's kind of dumb. But anyway, long story short, it does give us some insight in terms of what we need to move forward. But we are the ones still need to make that call. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Let's take it another level. When you and I were talking before, you talked about, the most minimal level is just really engineering those prompts better. But if we take it deeper, the idea is building your own AI, right?
Yeah.
How are you going about building this, and why does that take it deeper?
So I actually did talk about it on the first book. That again, this is like only 100 pages. So I wrote 2 books, kind of pretty much at the same time, which is right here. And these 2 books will launch in September this year,
Nice.
2024.
Very recent.
And this is like only 100 pages. And this is only 50 pages. And this is basically all AI prompt examples. So if you want to see what kind of AI prompt example you can use, this is very much like a tool book. Okay. If you just want to learn about prompt, just get this one and go to chapter 3. And the reason is there's not a lot of setup. I get to the point. I really just get to the point on both books. And on this specific book, and I did talk about it, there are many ways of using AI, and there are different tiers, if you will. Of course, the easiest way that you can do is basically you use Copilot, use Gemini from Microsoft, from Google, or you use ChatGPT or Claude from Anthropic. The bottom line is you open an AI bot, you stop asking questions. That's minimal, right? That you don't create anything, you're just asking questions. It's kind of like Google search, but it's very tailored Google search. Instead of when you search on Google, they give you hundreds of content pieces you have to sift through. We don't do that on ChatGPT. You still do a search in a way, they just give you a tailored answer. So that's one way. The second way is like, maybe you are asking same question, every day, right? For example, you are doing the podcast. You have to come up with the podcast title. You have to come up with the podcast description. And you have a brief bio about Pam Didner. You have to write kind of like a bio for your podcast show notes, right? These are the 3 things you have to do every single time, like when you have an episode. Can AI automate this for you? Like the only thing you have to enter every single time is like you enter Pam's somebody's bio. Okay, AI doesn't make that noise. That something will come up.
Right.
You enter like the transcript, they come up with the title. You enter, something else. And for example, okay, they come up with the title, or even you enter the raw footage, they can do an edit for you. So there is a very consistent task every single time that you have to do. Is it possible that you can build a bot to do that? Right? That's kind of automating the process, right? So there are ways to do that. You can do a customized bot, and that you can just enter a specific tasks every single time to that bot, and that bot will do it for you. So that's
and where are you doing this? Which ones?
They are, I think, so at least I cannot speak to, I'm not technical, so I cannot speak to everything. If you actually have a point of view, please jump in and help. In general, like in the ChatGPT or even Copilot, that you can build a custom you can build custom bot, like literally on their platform. And you can see like there's a lot of bots has been built and kind of like the app store. Think about it as a bot store. Like you can type a specific a functional task, and there are bots probably being built by someone else that you can use.
Yes.
It's also very similar to plug in the WordPress, right?
Yeah,
Same
it's a
thing,
great
that
way to
same
describe it.
concept. So you can do it pretty much within kind of like the ChatGPT or any kind of LL large language model platform. Then there's another level, right? Which is think about that you have HubSpot and and you have Salesforce.com. You also have a point of sale and accounting software, and all the data can be accessed by API. Can you pull all this information in theory, right? And also add that information as a part of large language model. And then you can ask specific questions related about your customers. Does that make sense? So that require a little bit of customization, probably IT or anybody who does AI consulting know how to do the back end. That's one way. That's also the next tier of using all your data integrated with a large language model, and hopefully you can, as a back end, then you can build a front end as a customized AI bot. The next level, the highest, is you build predictive model, right? Using the large language model plus all the data, and that you build a specific regression analysis or predictive models to forecast or help you address some of the key decisions that you need to make. So these are the 4 levels, as in a nutshell, if you will.
Love it. I'm going to pull back to, let's call it level 2, building the bot. Because you had asked, if there were some of the things, some of the tools that I'm using then to help build out those bots. I love exactly what you called it, almost like the app store, if you would, for ChatGPT, et cetera. And it's really good, right? Because it can pull in from other sources then too. So if you're not familiar with it and you're thinking, well, I need something more that's data capable. Well, ChatGPT bots can pull in from Wolfram Alpha. If you're like, well, I need something that's very visual, well, it's pulling in from DALL-E, right? And so it is using all those. And if people aren't aware of that it's like you can do all of it still from within that system. But yes. But what I also have really enjoyed is U.com. I was first turned on to this by Noah Kravitz, which is another guest on this episode. We talk all about this. He's the host of NVIDIA's AI podcast.
Oh, wow.
And it's really, really good episode to get into if you're into AI at all. But with U.com, you have access, I think it's to like 5 different ones. You have access to ChatGPT and Gemini, and you have access to Claude, and you have access to a couple others that I don't remember what they all are.
You have options.
Yeah. And so if you're like, hey, this one I think is going to be better served with ChatGPT, you could build out that bot. This one's going to be better served. And then you can share it with your team very easily. So that way it's not public, but it's not private. You can share it with just anybody else that's on your team's plan. And so you can say, hey, I built this bot for writing ad copy or
writing examples for this specific industry. Again, it's very specific task-centric functionality. Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep. And so that's been one that I've really enjoyed working with a lot more than as well. For those who are looking and saying, well, where do I start building out my own bot?
I am so proud of you.
Well, thank you, Pam. Let's get into some of the practical stuff. I know that you and I talked about maybe sharing some practical examples. You shared one already. What are some other practical, like here's an exact one that you can copy, or here's something you can show that kind of just takes us through a very real world example?
I am just going to share the things at least I try to do.
Okay.
And but this is more kind of repurposing content. So for content creators out there, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And a lot of time when I create content, I always think about that. How can I repurpose them for different formats? Okay. For example, when I write a blog post and it's very detailed, it's long, 1,200 words, and I provide a lot of know-how, and it's very nicely structured. And honestly, most of the time, and this is probably not the best use of my time, but I like it this way, is I
Sure.
will write a draft. Like I will literally write a draft myself. And then I will ask kind of like ChatGPT to rewrite a little bit, and I will compare my draft with the ChatGPT's draft. There are some stuff they say a whole lot better than me, then I'll take it. But there are some stuff I was like, I like mine, then I will keep
Mm-hmm.
that. So that's one way of using it in terms of easy way of using it. I'm talking about the
Mm-hmm.
basic, right? Then when I created the blog post and I write it, and I do actually have but it's my original content. A lot of time when I created any kind of blog post, at least for me, is I write my initial draft. That's just me.
Sure.
Then I will see how can AI can improve, make it better. Then a lot of time I will take that blog post and I will say, I want to create a video. But you have to understand the way that you write the opening for the blog post is different than if you write the opening for the video. On
Mm-hmm.
the blog post, you can have a setup, right? And then you go on into your key point. But on the video, and I want to make it only 8 to 10 minutes, it's a very short period of time to talk about 1,200 words of a blog post.
Sure.
So I have to cut. And plus, I need to have a nice hook. So the first 5 seconds, hi, everybody. Today I want to talk about the challenges of creating marketing plan, So it's like, what is the hook? You have to talk about that hook in a very upfront. So I will also write kind of like opening, and I will pick and choose what are the things I want to add to the video. And then again, sometimes I will ask ChatGPT to write a video script based on the blog post. Sometimes I know exactly what I want to hone in. I will write a quick draft and I ask ChatGPT to modify it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is now you have blog posts, you have a video script. Okay, then of course you do the video recording. Once I do the video recording, I actually use Opus Clip to actually do kind of like the shorts, like YouTube shorts, that they're going to cut it. They also can add a caption on top of it. So I'm using a third-party tools to actually cut the final edited video and to kind of YouTube shorts or the TikTok shorts. Then the other thing.
Found. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I found that Opus works well for shorter videos. I have plugged it in for my podcasts, which are like an hour and 15 minutes long, and it pulls out some interesting clips that I'm like, that didn't work out. But I have found, a 10-minute video is great for it.
I totally agree. So I can tell you in terms of the number of the video I tend to pick up from Opus Clip. Obviously, AI make that selection. Okay.
Yep.
And I would say when they usually give you average about 8 to 12, clips. And most of the time I can pick only 2 or less.
Sure.
So a lot of them I was like, I don't know, it's not that great. And, but AI is working on it. It's improving. It's going to get better over a period of time. Right. And so that is one. Then the other thing I do using AI, I'm explaining to you so you can see how AI is used in terms of content creation, is now I have a video, now I have a blog post. If I actually want to, I can also do TikTok video. When I do a TikTok video, it's 90 seconds or less. So if I want to talk about one topic, like a 1,200 words blog post, now to 8 to 10 minutes of the YouTube video, if I want to do a TikTok, I have to cut it even shorter, right? So sometimes I will ask ChatGPT to create TikTok video script. Sometimes I will just write it and have ChatGPT to rewrite it. Is that helpful? So, and you can see that at least at the minimal level from my perspective is if you create one type of content, how you can use AI to actually change the content and then modify the content and have them create the new script or the new content pieces for you.
I'm curious if you've solved something that I've tried to figure out and I have not been successful with it in AI yet. And I think it's just not quite there yet. So I also like to use it for repurposing content. And it's very good at being able to go through the transcripts and pull out quotes. So I use ChatGPT for that, and I've got that trained very well. I still find that sometimes it pulls out some quotes, and I'm like, that's a really weird quote, but that's fine. It pulls out enough good ones to where they're usable. Then I want to turn those quotes sometimes into like a quote image, like you would on social media, right? Nice square, whatever. And it's got, some good font that it's using, and it's like blah, 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 Pam Didner. And I'm like, oh, this was something really great that Pam said on the episode, and I want to share that. And I put it into ChatGPT, DALL-E, and I get garbage. Now, I will say that it handles words fairly well, but when the thing that I got out was like, the font wasn't even remotely close. I'll share it to you. I tweeted about this yesterday. I've tried it now in Mid-Journey, and it doesn't handle words very well.
No, it doesn't.
I tried it in somebody.
What's
that?
No. Mid-Journey cannot. No, I
not
have
for words.
I have no success with the Mid-Journey in terms of images for my line of work, if you will.
Sure, I like Mid-Journey. I think Mid-Journey is still better at creating lifelike images than I've seen with DALL-E. Like I get some like if I want like a person and I want it to look like a person, it does a really good job. Adobe Firefly is another really good one, but it doesn't handle words very well. Somebody suggested to me Ideogram, which is IDEOGRAM. It did a much better job, but it still fumbled over really getting this into something that I thought was good. I don't know if you've had any experience trying to do this, but I'm curious if you have.
No, I have not.
Okay.
Initially, I did try to have AI create images, even photo stocks, if you will.
Sure.
But I have not been very successful. That has a lot to do with, I don't know the technical jargons of how to give AI accurate prompt. For example, I would say, create an image with two people talking, but I have to tell what type of people talking. It's an upper body, or do they have to show the whole body? Is it a side angle? And also, what is the background? Is the background is next to the window, have the light coming through? So honestly, on the B2B side of the image creation, you actually have to have a specific vision in mind, and then give the directions to the AI. And then you kind of have to know a lot of technical jargons in terms of how shot is done. When I say shot, it's like a movie shot. It's not like drinking shot. It's like how, a frame, like you see, like a lot of time is a side shot. Is it, full angle? And also, is it a Caucasian man or versus Asian woman? And and when they talk, what part of the face did you see? Do you not see? Does that make sense? So absolutely. I have not been very successful because I'm not technical enough or understand the jargon well enough to give that kind of specific instruction. So I see a lot of stuff being created, but they are more sci-fi, they're more gaming, and some of the shots are gorgeous, but I don't know how to use them. I cannot use for my line of work, not for the audience I want to go after. Does that make sense? So
it does.
I decided, because there's a barriers I have to go through, because I have to learn whole new technical jargons to actually do the image creation. I give that up 100% and just use Canva. I'm still using Canva. And they also have a smart studio, and you can try, some of the AI features within the Canva studio. But no, I fail miserably on the image creation, especially on the B2B front.
So I think the thing that you called out that I like the most there is still you're going to get out of this what you put into it. And so we talked about this being like a level enhancer, right? So it's going to enhance what we do. But it's like, if I have no, like you said, if I don't have enough frame of reference, technical jargon to use that fits within video and graphic design knowledge, if I'm still just like, hey, I need this,
I don't know how to do it.
Pizzazz.
I just don't know how to make it work, and that's why that expertise still comes into important, because AI at this time is still like right.
Sure.
You still follow exact direction you provide. Do this, and then you give a very enough. My target customer is this. My call to action is this. I want you to do this, right? So imagine you want to do that on images or on the video. You need to know the technical jargon. Otherwise, they cannot function because AI is still how should I say it nicely? A bot.
Yeah. So I will share one example that I did that it's moderately successul with the AI generation for images.
I would love to hear that. Love to hear that, and you can please enlighten all of us.
Yeah, we'll see if it's enlightenment. I'll just say that it worked out well, which was I like where you went with Canva. So I did use Midjourney for this. My dad is a country music singer, Todd Harris. He's on Apple Music.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so he wanted a new like album cover, if you would, for a single that he was releasing.
That's really artsy stuff, yes.
Yeah, and so I was able to use it to get the image that I wanted, and then I was able to take that image that we liked, and we're like, great, this is it. I could feed it into the lyrics from the song. It's like, here's the lyrics from the song, here's what we're trying to convey, here's the title of the song, and it did a good job with that. I did use ChatGPT to refine my prompt because I wasn't quite getting what I wanted, so I said, ChatGPT, this is what I'm trying to convey to Midjourney. Can you help me? Because this was before DALL-E was incorporated with it.
I love that. That's a great example.
And then I took that. Well, then I took that to Canva and added the lyrics added the words over top. So the title of the song and his name over top. But I used that in Canva, like you said.
So you did one thing that I didn't think about. So I was, whenever I'm trying to do image creation, which is not something, I'm not very artistic. Okay, I'm not. Okay. Sure. So I always feel like if I want to create an image, I need to give a very specific technical instructions, right? But you did something a little bit different, which is I like, because you already know the feel of the songs. You know your dad's personality, and then you feed the AI the lyric, the sound, and and also possibly maybe your dad's singing style. So there's a lot of inside information that the AI can actually take on to create something that more aligned with what you envision. But imagine you don't have those information, right? It's somebody you don't even know very well. And then you have to, it's an artist you don't know very well, that's assumed. And that it's a painter that don't really have a lot of painting that you can make references. And then you have to create something that will be very challenging. But I'm very happy that the way that you are talking about it is like, you still know, you feed the lyric, you feed the title, and there's additional insight you can feed into AI for them to come up with something that the image that you love.
Yeah, and it worked out well. Getting into, let's say, theoretical stuff, because we started talking a little bit about theory. This is a good question that you and I were talking about before, and you have a good stance on this, or a strong stance on this. Is AI going to take my job?
Okay. I want to answer that in the long term and short term. Okay. In the long term, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Nobody knows. If anybody say they know, they don't know. Nobody does. Right. Nobody can say the future.
The microwave didn't take a lot of jobs from people, right?
What? Say again?
The microwave didn't take a lot of jobs from people, right? Like we have other inventions that do things fast, but it doesn't remove jobs. Okay.
So, but in the short term, what I can see in the foreseeable is the next 4 or 5 years. You have to understand AI at this time, at least the AI that can do a lot of business work, including the coding work, AI is still a software or a code or algorithm embedded into your computer or in the cloud. There's no physical form of like a B2B marketer. There's no physical form of a sales manager. There's no physical form. I know a lot of companies are trying to get to that stage and build a physical form to house the AI brain. I get that. Okay. So if you think about it, we are training AI. We are working very hard to train AI right now. Totally. So maybe what we are doing is we are kind of build a brain, right? Somebody has to build like the physical of us in order to really take our jobs. But we are not there yet, but people are working toward that direction. And that's one thing. And second thing is a lot of time at this time, it still requires judgment call, right? So AI probably can create demand generation plan. AI probably can give you, what are the keywords you need to do for a specific blog post. AI possibly can even tell you who are your future target customers should be based on your new product. Those are very challenging questions that AI can answer. But you have to understand one thing. AI doesn't know your brand, your company's brands. AI doesn't know your company's products as good as you are. AI doesn't know the company politics, right?
Sure.
So there are stuff that AI still don't know. There's still human needs to get involved, right? And well, how will that eventually morph? I don't know. Maybe it will one day, but as of now, what I can see, it's here to actually help you. But will eventually cross that line? Maybe, maybe not. But based on what I have seen in the history, there are jobs being terminated, but there are also new jobs being created.
Sure.
Right? So you
Yeah.
can see that with the Ford assembly line, right? Initially, they hired tons of people, and they automated the assembly line, they lay off a bunch of people. And you can see that with the phone. For the longest time, they used the cable girls, right? And then
Yeah.
built the automatic lines, and then the cable girls were gone. But the different jobs are created, right? So for longest time, the receptionists also have to type because the typewriter, then computer got invented. So I don't know what kind of jobs will be created, right? But as a professional, you always have to have a sense that if AI continues to learn, so should we.
Sure.
That's also continue
Well
to
said.
learn, build a different skill set. It's very important, right? So if AI is learning, why should we stop learning? Keep up.
I like where you're going with this. It's a very I don't know. It's non-dystopic, right?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't have the answer, but the only thing is let's do the best we can.
Well, but I like the point that you just brought up, that it's like, yeah, it might replace certain jobs. In fact, let's just say it's very likely to replace certain jobs.
Yeah.
But it's also going to create need for other jobs,
Yeah.
just like other technology has done for so many years.
Right. A lot of people say AI is different. AI is going to take over. Okay. Yes, maybe. Yes. But I don't know what other jobs might be created just because
Sure.
AI takes over, these jobs. I mean, long time ago, every single technology changes. We don't know. We never know like what kind of job will be eliminated and what job will be created. And maybe AI is different. And I'm trying to be, I don't want to be very adamant about it, but I want to be hopeful,
Yeah. At the very least, the person who adopts the new technology and becomes proficient at it ends up still, let's say, usually benefiting very well in the short and long term. I'm thinking of there's the James J. Hill house here in Minnesota, and apparently he was one of the railroad tycoons, and adopting that at that time worked out very well to his favor. So if you're somebody who is a marketer, you are doing a job, and you're worried about AI replacing your job, one of the best things you can do is to be the best at using AI for your job.
That's one way, or learn other new skill sets.
Sure.
From my perspective, I mean, there's various disciplines in marketing fields, right? So if you are doing content creation, well, what else can you learn that there's might be opportunities for you to come along in the future?
I like that. You're very well seasoned. You've learned a lot. You've done a lot in business. So outside of generative AI, if businesses are scaling from 10 to 100 million, what are some of the other things that you've learned along the way that you think help to break through those barriers to accelerate growth?
Okay. Obviously, as a founder, or if you are growing your company, there's always a certain stage of growing pain, right? It's just part of the life. You are 10 million, you're like, yes! And it was like, okay, how can I grow to 20 million? How can I grow to 50 million? So from my perspective, as a founder or as the owner, you always have to think ahead, not necessarily in terms of what's the revenue growth, it's what you need to support that growth. When I'm talking about what you need is what's the back end that needs to make sure everything's are tied together to support that, 20 million and 50 million. For example, maybe you use, when I say a specific marketing platform, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just making a point. So Zoho, for example, is a great suite for small businesses. And maybe you grow to a mid-sized company, Zoho is not necessarily for you. Then you have to use a little bit mid-sized or enterprise version, of the suite. What is that, right? So my take on this is there are two things. You should worry about hiring people. You should worry about your product needs to be relevant and current. Oh, to me, everybody's worried about that. But things that people tend to worry less and take for granted, and it always kind of like a reactive and a passive is nobody think about technology, what technology you need to actually make that happen. And to get ahead of technology to make that transition, from my perspective, super important. You're going to grow in 20 million and 50 million. How can you change your marketing automation? How do you change some of the technology to an enterprise version of it to actually support and embrace the growth? A lot of people always wait until last minute to do that, or it's an afterthought. From my perspective, that needs to be, and it creates a huge amount of headache for everybody. I think that's important to address. But the flip side of that is you want to address that proactively. Guess what? All this enterprise version platform costs money. And nobody wants to invest.
Sure.
So you have to think about it like, you want to grow. Do you want to also put the money in first to make sure that you have a technology that's set up, your people are ready to use those technology to welcome that growth? And that's a chicken and egg question.
So this is a good topic because I feel like as an entrepreneur, you take risks to start the business in the first place. And then you get to a point where things are maybe you've grown, but you've plateaued.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is take another risk because you've already risked so much sometimes. And so I do see a lot of entrepreneur founders get to that plateau and they're just unwilling or afraid to take the risk again to get to that next level, the things that need to happen, like you said, to invest in this. And on where we see this on the advertising side is, maybe you have reached a plateau where, maybe you started working with us and you were spending $10,000 a month. Now we're spending you, $500,000 a month. But you're reaching a plateau and it's like, I'm not sure that we can get to $1 million a month and still keep your CAC where it needs to be, or the return or the MER or whatever it needs to be, without, let's just say, some significant investment into maybe a new product line, or maybe this is a different customer segment than who you've currently been going after, or maybe this is an investment into wildly different creative than what you've used before. There are these other things, and some of those, really good creative is going to cost money, and so we're optimizing the ads, but we can only do so much with the creative that we have. Whatever that might be, there's like this next level of risk that you have to take again, and then again, and then again, and again.
I know it never stops. The thing is, and this happens to me too, and I always feel like I'm just going to climb over this mountain and everything will be good. Then when you climb over that mountain, then there's another mountain you need to climb. And when you climb that mountain, you say, everything's going to be great. I'm going to be just fine. And then once you get to that stage, you was like, okay, there's a higher mountain is waiting for you. And for longest time, like when I've been on my own in the past 10 years, and I have good days, I have bad days. And you don't know how many times I have told myself, I just need to get through today. And I just need to make sure that the workflow I build for today work for tomorrow. I will be good. I'll be just good. This is great. This is for demand gen. I just need to create another email. And for this email, I have this kind of tutorial, and I'm just going to get through this. It's going to be good. Then I come to realize it never ends. And the technology and everything you do is a money pit. It's a money
I feel
pit.
that way.
That's another thing we all have to understand. And I talk about this cash. It's like you need to make sure that you have a cash to kind of, to make things happen. And I totally understand a lot of founders at a certain stage, it was like, okay, 10 million, 50 million, we did that. and they are not willing to invest. I get it. I get it because it is money pit. It never ends. Especially on SaaS-based platform, if you don't invest in the technology, you constantly adding features, you're going to be obsolete within a year.
Sure.
So whenever people want to do like to be a founder, I was like, you sure you want to do this? It's a lot of work.
Sure. I like the mountain analogy that you gave, though, and it reminds me a lot of Ryan Holiday's "The Obstacle Is the Way."
I love his books, and I read.
Yeah.
I have not read the recent book, but the earlier books I have read a bunch of them. Yeah.
Same, and I think that just that concept of exactly what you just described, which is, I fell into that trap for a while, right? It was like, once I hire this person, then I'll have time. Once I hire this person, then I'll have time, right?
I will do. Yeah. Yep. It never.
And I realized that it's like, no, but in a good way, where it's like, wait a minute, what if, if your whole mindset is, I just got to get over this mountain and then things are going to be okay. What if climbing the mountain is the thing?
Yeah.
What if that is the thing,
Enjoy
right?
the
And it's like,
journey.
and when you
enjoy the journey.
yes. So there was I don't even remember what movie it was, but there was like, it was almost kind of like, Karate Kid type style. There's this young kid and this older guru that was, teaching him some things, and they climb up this mountain. As they're climbing up the mountain, it's grueling, and they get to the top of the mountain, and the
This is it. This is it.
Yeah, well, the kid's like, okay, so we're here, but now what? And he was like, what are we here for? And the guru kind of looks around and goes, that rock. And he points to this little pebble kind of thing. He was like, we climbed all the way for this rock. He was like, it was never about the destination. It was about the journey. You are now stronger. You are mentally sharp. Like, all of these things had nothing to do with the summit itself.
Well said. I totally understand. It's just kind of, sometimes I was like, oh my God, is life pointless? That just sounds so bad to say.
No, but it's honest. And I'd say anybody who's a founder who's listening to this, who's feeling that, just know that you are in good company, because I don't know a single founder who has ever not felt that way before. I have some other really good episodes on that. Really good one there would be with Robert Gilbreth, where we talk about basically something along the lines of like, being the CEO is the loneliest feeling in the world. So
yes,
if
100%.
you are this person, go listen to that one. It'll help. Okay, let's dig into a little bit more now. I want to get into who is Pam Didner, because it's always fun to get to know the person that we're talking to as well. One of the things that I want to start with is you do yoga 5 days a week. You said you recently went to Patagonia. You do a lot of really good fun, which I've never been to Patagonia, but the pictures are amazing. I'd love to go sometime. Tell me a little bit about, like, why did you decide to start doing yoga 5 days a week? Why did that become such a passion for you?
So I started yoga literally about, I would say, more than 2 decades ago. And I'm a type A person. I don't know how to relax. Okay, just call this like, this is status Asian mentality. Okay, Asian people just don't know how to relax. They will work until they drop dead. Okay, and then I had a corporate job. It was very stressful, and I always take the job with me wherever I go. Like if I have to get something done for my manager, and I was like, I don't know the answer, I will be thinking about it all the time. And then I like I said, I don't know how to relax. And then a friend of mine told me, said, you probably should do yoga. Yoga is going to help you. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I started doing yoga. And initially it was not, it never really helped. Okay, you were like, what? It never really helped? And you did it for like almost 2 decades? What are you doing? Well, it's more kind of like when they tell you to stretch, or when they tell you to move at a certain way, you kind of just go with the flow. But my mind never really stopped thinking. I'm always like, I call it this, like, do you know there's a term called shower thought? Like when you're washing your hair and you are like scrubbing your body in the shower, and you're like, you have shower thoughts. You're like, things will pop into your mind, right? So when I was doing the yoga, same thing. I was like, okay, what is my yoga thought? Oh, what is my grocery list? Oh, okay. All right. Let me just breathe a little. And I would like move. And it's so there are moments I'm actually I will relax a little bit. So, and I started doing that, and that helps me to be become very self-aware of my body. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I feel sore or I, achy at a certain way, and I'm very attuned with my body. And that I think that's the biggest
Mm-hmm.
benefit about yoga. And I also become pretty self-aware, right? Like I'm talking to you and I was like, okay, I'm moving my hand. What am I doing, Pam? Whatever, that kind of thing. So that really helps in terms of like doing yoga. But that just for me. And then some people can like really they walk into a yoga room, they were like completely tune out. I can't. But somehow it does help me
Mm-hmm.
to be a better Pam, if you will, you know?
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like yoga. I can remember my wife would tease me because when we were maybe even just dating. I don't think we were married yet. At the fitness center in our little neighborhood there was just me and the old ladies doing yoga, and she's like, "You're the only right." But like for the same reason that you were, where it's just like I am go 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 go, and I was like, I
It's
need
gonna
this is
slow you
something that I
down a
need to
little.
develop and get better at.
Yeah, it just kind of
Um,
slow you down a little, and it just
it
like
does.
put you in kind of like in the right place, at least
Uh
for
huh.
me, But yeah,
But so here's the question though that I have to ask as a follow up because I am a go 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 go. Do you ever get to the point where even yoga becomes competitive to you, or you're just like, I'm going to be the most flexible in this? That person's stretching better than I can get lower, but I can't. But I try, right? Where you're just
well,
like,
yes and no. So I for that I try to be very intentional about
that's
it
good.
and not try to be too competitive. And I always, whenever I was like, oh my God, she can do that, I need to do that too. And I was
Uh
like,
huh.
stop, Pam. You are
Yep.
here for yourself. Don't worry about her.
Mm-hmm.
So I will kind of like talk to myself. So initially I won't. Initially I was like, oh my God, I need to do that. I need to stretch. Oh, look at that. Let's do the precision stretch as tall as you can. Right. And
Yeah.
now I was like, you know what? I'm here for Pam. If I can do this,
Yeah.
great. If I can't, it's okay. So, but it took me a long time to get to where I am today, just be okay with who I am.
Mm-hmm. That's
So, but
good.
I guess everybody struggles with that. So it's all good.
So you have gotten to a point where you're good with Pam. How
Yeah.
does your crush, how does your crush Ryan Reynolds feel about that?
Oh my God. I love Ryan Reynolds. Who does
I know
it? I
you
have
told
not
me.
run into a single person who doesn't love him.
I do know somebody. I
Really?
do know Martha Stewart. Did you see that? This was literally just this week. Martha
Yes.
Stewart was like, he's
I
not that
heard
funny.
about it. I have not watched that documentary. And she hates that documentary, but apparently everybody thinks it's actually pretty good.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
have not. I heard about that, but I have not watched that documentary yet. Now you mentioned it, I was
Yeah.
like, let me put on my to-do list.
There you go. Yeah. So Ryan Reynolds, why do you have a crush on Ryan Reynolds?
Because he just has such a dry sense of humor. Like when he
Yes.
talks, and he has this like deadpan, when he talks and he's not laughing. And the stuff he said, you're like, oh God, that's so funny, right? And
Uh-huh.
I love his character, Deadpool. I don't know if you ever
Mm-hmm.
watched it. Super violent. I hate
Yep.
violent films. I mean, like bloods just fly all over the place. I hate that stuff. And but I would watch it just because it's Ryan Reynolds, and
Yeah.
then
Yep.
he would just talk crap, and I would just laugh. My name is Pool, Deadpool, something like that. And I was like, oh my God, that's funny. And then he's just very, very funny. He will be talking, talking,
Yeah.
talking, and then he will break the fourth wall and start talking to the audience. And
Yes.
it was just very funny, like in terms of how you know, he's always making it easy not to take anything seriously, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he's probably a very, very serious person. I never talked to him, so I don't know.
Sure.
And
Although he's a marketer.
he's
We need to get him a copy of your
100%.
book.
Oh, he's a marketer that everybody strive to be, right? And
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, huge crush on the Ryan Reynolds.
There was a quote that you told me the other day that I really appreciated. I always like finding out. It's like, what's a quote that you live by? And you said, "Do what's right for your customers," and I thought that
Yeah,
was really good. Why
yeah.
is that a quote that you live by?
So I think when I work in the corporation, and one of our value statements, and one of the value statements is do the right thing. And I always love that. And sometimes do the right thing is not the right thing. It's the right thing for the company, but may not be the right thing for me.
Sure.
And then there was period of time. There was one time, and the team I was in, we kind of went through a reorg, and the product we are selling is not doing that well. Okay. And there was a conversation at a much higher level, say, should we kill this product? Honestly, that's the right things to do, is kill the product. So the management was asking us to come up with a recommendation. Should we kill the product? Should we keep it going? Right. But at the same time, it impacts my job. If we keep this, I should make a recommendation to keep this product because I want this job. Or should I make the recommendation we should kill it and then I have to find a different job? Right. So we actually, several of us, we struggle. What kind of recommendation should we do? Because it does impact us. And at the end, we come up with kind of like two solutions. One, we did say one of the solution is we should kill this. And then the other one is, why don't we do a last one Hail Mary? If we add those features, should we give it a try again? Right? If we do give it a try again, how much would that cost to do that? Right? So my gut at that time, and several of my colleagues kind of agree. I say, let's be honest with each other. What's the point? What do we think? We actually think we should kill that product. But when we go in and make a recommendation, we did make that as one of the recommendation. At the same time, we say, maybe there's a chance. We don't know. So we presented two options. At the end, management decided to kill it. And we feel like the management is making the right decision. And now it's like, oh my God, we need to update our resumes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do the right things. I know how hard it is. And sometimes I have to fire myself for my client. And I would tell my clients, you don't need me anymore. And it's, when I said that, I was like, oh my God, I just turned down, $10,000 retainer. But they don't really need me anymore.
Yeah, that's good. That's honorable.
I kind of want to do the right thing. So
I think you brought up a really good point too about how it becomes an ethical dilemma, and I really love getting into ethics.
It's hard.
And
Trust
with
me.
that,
Trust
right?
me. So there's so many times I was like, why do I decide to fire myself? Am I a moron? I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the dilemma comes down. It's like, well, that might be right for the customer. Let's remove you from the picture, your teammates. But let's say that they only asked you and it wasn't your teammates, right? It's like, well, wait a minute. It's definitely the wrong thing for your teammates. It's the right thing for your customer, maybe for you to do that, but it's the wrong thing for your teammates because you're putting them out of a job. It's maybe if
That's
you have
even
shareholders.
harder, by the way. That's even
Yeah, right.
That's so hard. That's so hard. And most of the time, the way I deal with that is that's go find another gig. That's let me go find another gig for everyone. That's it's still coming back to me, right? That's find something. There's got to be something out there we can do, right?
Yeah.
I hear you. It's never easy.
No,
Never.
but that's the decision that we have to make, and anytime we're in leadership positions. I think about that all the time with people that are in leadership positions, people that are, let's just even say, running government and things like that. And the hard part about anybody is that you're hated by a significant amount of people because
all the time.
reality is
Especially
every decision you make is going to negatively impact somebody.
somebody.
Every decision.
Yeah,
Somebody's gonna be negative.
you are not going to be liked by everybody. Never.
Yeah.
That you just don't please everyone. Don't. I tried that. It was not successful.
No.
Sometimes you just have to tell the truth and then just say it as it is. There's not much to it.
Yeah.
It's hard, but don't sugarcoat it.
It's right. It's the right thing. I also understand that you are a new mom, although not in the traditional sense. You are a plant mom. You said when your kids moved out, you decided to get a lot more into plants. Tell me a little bit more about this.
Yes,
Mom.
I am a plant parent. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you something. I kill plants. Okay. I have plants
That's
just like, okay, like I touch a plant, they literally just die.
oh
So
no.
I was like, okay. And my son was like, don't touch that, please. Okay. You're going to kill them. So when I was growing up, my attention is always my job and my family. And then if I have little time left is doing yoga. Okay. So
Mhm.
I don't have any space mentally and physically for anything else. Nothing. I just don't. Okay.
Sure.
And I try not to do like there are some moms are they are perfect moms. They can do everything. They are mighty and they can make everybody happy. They have great parties,
Not
whatever.
real.
I can only do two things, two and a half. I take care of my
Yeah.
family. Okay, we are going to place B, place A to place B, done. And we get through today. And then I do my job and do my job very well. That's about it. And then have a little
Mhm.
bit of time doing yoga. That's it. Okay, I cannot do anything else. I never have owned, yes, if I own any plans, that's because people gave me plans as presents. Like I said, I tend to kill them
Mm.
all. And then when the kids are grown, and then all of a sudden, you don't worry about kids anymore. And there's a mental space that you feel like you can take care of something else. But
Mhm.
I don't want to take care of pets because I travel a lot. And
Sure.
so I bought a couple of orchids and they were beautiful. I love them dearly.
Mm.
And and I started taking care of them and they died. And they came back. Several of them came back. I was like, "Oh my god, you're still alive! This is amazing!" And then and I bought like 2, and then I bought 3, I bought 4. Now I got 10 different orchids, and they all bloom at different
Wow.
time. And then I bought different plants, and I still kill a bunch of them, don't get me wrong, but I keep some of them alive. So, they are my
Yeah.
children.
Well, what's beautiful about that though too is plants are so good to have in the home. They remove a lot of
It's true.
chemicals that are in the air
Oh
and
my gosh, you
replace it
are
with,
so so right,
oxygen
so
and
right. It's
yeah.
lovely. I love them all, and I named them. I was like, "Oh,
Do
why?"
you?
Oh, I say, "Yeah." There are 2 of them. I was like, they are my kids, Aaron, and Joey. They are the Aaron and Joey, and they're my kids. And then also, I was like, "Hello, beautiful." There was one is "Hello, beautiful," and then there was like gorgeous. It's like I give them different names.
I've seen studies on this too, and I can't remember exactly where or when, but something along the lines of talking to plants in positive ways impacts them more than just talking to them. The obvious
It
thought
is
was people
true.
saying, yes,
It
he
is
says. So people
true. They
thought,
can
okay,
hear you. They can.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And
They can
they
hear
can
you.
tell whether it's
You
good or
can tell.
bad thought, which is
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
exactly, exactly. They can hear you, and that they
yeah.
actually respond. Just like everybody. I mean, we animal plants, we all respond to positive vibes.
Hmm.
We do. Every one of us, right? I mean, if I'm like a very negative, I'm an Eeyore. You know what? Come to your podcast. That's not gonna fly. It's like, hey,
No.
I'm so happy I'm here. Then all of a sudden, you feel it. So I think that
Uh-huh.
positivity does translate and pass
I think there's
from.
a lot we're still going to discover about that over the years, about which we don't understand. Maybe we attribute it to, like you said, good vibrations or whatever. But it's like I think there's scientific explanations that we'll understand more and more. Let's just say as AI evolves and takes over our medical and science research as well.
Yeah, well said.
Pam, it has been absolutely amazing talking to you today. You shared your
Thank
knowledge
you.
with us, your wisdom, your time. If people want to work with you or if they want to follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I'm actually on every single social media, including TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay, so connect with me on LinkedIn and also follow me on TikTok, Instagram, on every single social media, or you can Google me, Pam Didner, or my website, pamdidner.com. If you are very interested about AI and marketing, so for prompts, this is a great book. Go to chapter 3. And if you want to know a little bit more about AI, what AI would do, and I actually have a chapter 4, 5, and 6 are pretty solid. You can just dive into that in terms of how you can scale AI. And also there's additional AI prompts right here and also a little bit of AI history. So just help you to understand AI and to put things in perspective. So
Awesome. Wonderful. Pam, again, thank you for coming on the show and sharing your time with us.
anytime. Thank you so much for having me. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Up Arrow podcast with William Harris. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.